All right, so hi everyone, and welcome to Zoom Fatigue No More. I'm so excited that you're here and that you're wanting to learn how you can increase student engagement while you are on Zoom with your kiddos. So, again, this is for the concurrent setting. So, I know, and I keep hearing from a lot of my teachers that sometimes you're competing with distractions, especially when the kids are virtual. And so I hope that your takeaway today is at least one new tip or tool that will help you and help your kids stay more engaged. So my name is Rocio Martinez-Apolinar, and I am a elementary academic technology coach. I do work for and I do help support 7 campuses. My campuses are Los Reyes, um, Helotes, Kuntz, Fields, Franklin, Scarborough, and Ward. And so, welcome, welcome. If you are one of my teachers, shout out, yay. If you are not, I hope that you enjoy today's presentation as well. So, let's move along. And again, we have about an hour today. Now, this is the asynchronous session. And so today I do not have Francisco here with us because I am recording this asynchronously. So I do not have a live audience. I have you who are watching at the self-paced. So who I am, I'm Rocio Martinez-Apolinar. So I'm going to go ahead and skip through this. So again, our mission and vision in Northside is to transform the learning for students. And we know that in our current situation right now, it does look a little bit different. But excuse me, we still want to make sure that we are transforming that learning for students in as many ways as possible. And so our vision is that every day, every student grows in confidence, curiosity, and capability. And so our norms today are to make sure that you mute your mic. So I do have my little visuals right here that you can't see. There we go. Make sure that you are on mute. And again, make sure that your camera is on. Now, these are great tools for you to use, especially for your ESL, your EOLs, your littles, or maybe just in general. I know that my son is in high school and he still needs many reminders. We do need to make sure that you actively listen and participate. And so, with that said, we want to make sure that we have eyes watching and your ears listening. Take notes in any format that you are comfortable with. Again, this is self-paced. So the neat thing is that you can pause if needed, rewind, fast forward, or whatnot. I don't know if you can fast forward, but what is learned here leaves here, and have fun and challenge yourself. And I will try to cover as many tips as tools as I can in the time that we have together today. All right, so our learning goals are tools to engage learners via Zoom. And so the way that I outlined this PD session is to look at how we can engage kids at the beginning. How can we hook them? Okay, think about your traditional lessons when we were in person at one time. Um, we understand that not all content isn't as engaging as we would want it to be, right? And so there's always a way that we want to hook our learners. Okay. And then what tools can we use to engage our learners throughout the whole lesson, right? So that's during our whole Zoom lesson, whether it's between your 15 to 20 minutes that you have your Zoomies and your roomies together. And then what about the closure? Okay. I've heard that some teachers say that they're having trouble towards the end of the lesson, that some of the Zoomies end up turning off their camera, or they end up just leaving the Zoom meeting period. And so what are some ways that we can hook them, but then keep them engaged throughout the lesson so that at the end they are still with us? Okay, so we'll look at some of those tools. All right, and so what we are beginning with today is going to be our hook. So how do we engage them from the start? Now, this does not mean that I am going to have a hook and something throughout and at the end. It doesn't mean that I have to try all three. That's not what we mean. But what we do mean is that how can I hook my learner at the beginning so that then, I've got their attention and they stay with me. Now, you are going to notice that some of these tools, even though I have it as a hook, you're going to be able to plug it in maybe throughout the whole lesson, or maybe you might want to use this hook in the middle of your lesson to just kind of do a quick check and see if they're still with you. Or it might be something that you might want to use at the end. Okay. So again, I did this for myself to just kind of have an outline, but they might fit anywhere within your lesson. Okay. And as you well know, a lot of tips and tools that you use, sometimes kids get bored of them. So my goal is to give you just a variety so that you can have and you can use, again, at the beginning, during, or at the end of your lesson, just to change it up. Okay. Because we know that, if we use something too much, our kids might end up getting bored, it just happens. So think of it as a teacher toolbox of tips and tools. All right. So how many of you have used polls? Okay. Within Zoom, we do have a built-in poll feature. All right. And so polls can be used to engage your learners with a quick question. So at the beginning of your lesson, you could use it as a KWL. Okay. It's a quick check-in with your audience. That's kind of the way that you might see what your kids might be. I don't know, I'm thinking of maybe like the mood or the tone of your audience. So it might be a Monday, right? When we used to walk into class on Monday mornings, we kind of already expected, right, that the kids might be a little bit drowsy, sleepy, probably not as engaged. So polls kind of give you that check-in with your kids. They can be used as a hook during the lesson or as a closure. So think about the different ways. Now, again, it doesn't mean you're always going to start off with a poll, but again, fit it where you think you need to. And something that's really neat about a poll within Zoom is you can do it on the fly. Okay. Even though that's not what I did today. So let me go ahead and go back to my poll. Now, because I am sharing my screen, you're able to see what I'm doing right here. So I'm going to click on polls and notice how I already have my poll that I created within Zoom. Okay. Now, my audience isn't seeing it yet until I hit this blue button right here that says launch polling. Okay. So very simple question. I'm asking my audience, you, have you ever used the built-in poll feature before? So I'm going to go ahead and click on launch polling. And then if you see, again, I have it in progress and attendees are now viewing my questions. And again, here's my question. When my attendees start answering yes or no, in my actual live session, I had a 50 and 50%. So when I ended the polling, I'm going to click end. You can also share the results. So you can share the results and your students who are on Zoom are able to see what everybody answered anonymously. Okay. You can also relaunch the polling in case your kid said, "Oh, I didn't know what to do," or whatever the case might be. Okay. So you've got your built-in polls. All right. I'm going to go ahead and X out of that. Now, there are a variety of polls out there that you can use. So another one is SurveyMonkey. We also have Poll Everywhere. Another one is Mentimeter. Okay. And so what I'm going to do right now is I am going to stop my share and I am going to see. All right, so what we're going to do right now is we are going to go ahead and take a look at Mentimeter. Okay, now, like I mentioned before, yes, we do have a variety, I'm sorry, of polls. However, you don't want to overuse just a poll. Okay, and what I mean is the Mentimeter that I went ahead and shared here, which is a little bit different because I'm now recording for the self-paced for the asynchronous, is that I did ask my participants to go to menti.com. So if you're at home or you're doing this at work on your own time, I would like for you to go to menti.com, and then I want you to use the code 8968301. And what this does is that this code right here offers you to be a part of a class word cloud. Okay. And so I didn't just pose a question to kind of get a feel of my audience, but the way I'm using Mentimeter is now through a word cloud. And there's different types of ways to assess your audience in Mentimeter. So let me see if I can get to that right now. So I'm going to exit this. And then I'm going to go ahead and go to my Mentimeter right here. And if you notice, this is what my participants, this is what they were able to participate in. And so the way I engaged them at the beginning was asking them just to type in one word that defines engagement. So I can present this to my class. And as they were working on it, they were able to see again what words um, to them define engagement. Okay, so again, this is a word cloud. Let me go ahead and, oh, I had that little GIF right there. So let me go ahead and exit out of that. And then there we go. So let me just show you real quickly right here some of the examples, some of the types. Okay, so you can ask, a multiple choice question. You can do a word cloud like I showed you right here. There's scales, there's rankings, Q&A, open-ended. So these are just, again, a variety of different types of polls that you can use. Again, do you have to use it as a hook? You don't. Okay, so these are just, again, different tools that you can use. All right, let me go ahead and go back to my presentation. And again, that was Mentimeter. All right, so we also have Classroom Screen. With Classroom Screen, I'm not sure how many of you have used it, but using Classroom Screen has been a tool that has helped a lot of my teachers because they found that they were using different websites here and there, and it was just too much. And you know how sometimes during Zoom, if we're going in and out of certain websites, you might lose some of your students. And so you can engage learners by activating prior knowledge. Um, you can leave that screen on as students enter the Zoom. You can have it as your shared screen, and then you might have it like some type of bell work or a sponge activity like they do in secondary, or I used to call it in fourth grade, our morning work as they're walking into the class while they're waiting everybody to join. I had a specific activity for them so that they were ready and engaged for learning. It can also be used throughout your lesson with varying widgets. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at that. All right, so classroom screen, let me go ahead and just find it. Let me move some of my things around here. All right, so classroom screen, this is what it looks like. All right, so let me go ahead and move myself right here. Okay, so this is what classroom screen looks like. So it looks very similar to a background that you might already have created, maybe like a Bitmoji classroom that you created last summer, or maybe you are not using any of that yet. Okay, and so what this does is it provides a different type of way to engage your kids and maybe even get them into a certain routine. Okay, and so here, if you notice, the reason I said widgets is because we call all of these little icons widgets, okay? They all serve a purpose and allow us to do something on our screen. So this right here is our background, okay? So I have, I believe, 14 different widgets. Let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 widgets for me to use. I can change my background, and here I left the snowman on because I don't know, it's our winter PD summit. So I decided to leave my background in a winter format. Um, the next widget is my random name. So I have that right here. So if I do my random name selector, it will pick, instead of having popsicle sticks, I can have it all on the same screen. I've got dice if I need to use dice, sound level to kind of measure the noise level in the classroom. I've got media, so I can add links or a YouTube video, things like that. Something I'm thinking of the little, sometimes we have that morning introduction song. You can have it in here as well. A QR code to something that you want the kids to um, move from that screen to another. We also have the drawing tool, we have the text tool, we have these working symbols. So I'm asking kids to be silent during this activity. Green light, red light, yellow light. I have a timer, stopwatch, clock, and I have a calendar. So during my live session, I did ask my participants, what are some ways you can use Classroom Screen to engage your students? And then what I did was I used my random name, and I would ask Francisco to use a sentence frame again. I was a bilingual teacher, so I usually give my students sentence frames so that they can speak in complete sentences and answer the question that I posed. So Francisco would be the one to answer. I can use classroom screen by um, and then give us his response. Now, I did add this timer. Now, the reason I put this 2-minute timer is because when I read the question out loud to my students, I can give them that wait time. Okay, and I can give them 2 minutes so that they're all ready to when the timer is up, that means that they can, I can use my random name generator to select a student. Okay, so this is classroom screen. Let's go back. Let me go ahead and pause that and go back to my presentation. All right. The next part of our session is going to be, how do we engage learners during the direct teach? In other words, during my Zoom, how do I keep them engaged? What is a tool that I can use throughout? Okay, so if you haven't tried Whiteboard Fi, I highly recommend it. I actually just spoke to a middle school teacher. She's a friend of mine, and she was interested in my session but couldn't make it. And I let her know, hey, so is Whiteboard Fi something you use? And she's like, no, I've never heard of it. And so she just started using it this week, and she's like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And so she only teaches math. So she definitely found it useful for math, but there's different ways to use Whiteboard Fi. Now, what I like is that one, it's free. The other part is that it can be used concurrently. So you're able to view in real time your students' whiteboards, whether they're Zoomies or they're Roomies. You can engage your learners not only solving math problems. I think everybody associates Whiteboard 5 with solving math problems. You can also use it for drawing. You can write text, make notations on images, solving math equations, picture vocabulary. I mean, there's many different ways you can use this. And again, the student's thinking is visible in real time. So let's go ahead and take a look at Whiteboard Phi. Here we go. And so Whiteboard Phi is really whiteboard.phi. Okay, so if I can have you join on your own, okay, let me give you a few seconds so that you can type it in. And that is whiteboard.phi. Now, as a teacher, it's pretty simple. All I need to do is click add new class. That's all I need to do. Your students would actually click on join class. So today you are my student. And so during the session, if you could click join class, and what I'm going to do as the teacher is I'm going to create a new class. So I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to put the name of our class. I'm just going to call it Zoom Fatigue for now. And then I don't want a waiting room because this is asynchronous. I'll create the new class. Now it's creating the room for me. And this is it. So it gives you the room code. So right now, as you're watching, if I can have you type in E8D E2. Okay, so if you're at home or wherever it is that you're watching this session, the letter E, 8, D, E, and 2. Okay, and so if you notice right here, it tells me their whiteboards will appear here automatically. As a teacher, I'm going to toggle my whiteboard. So for Saturday's session, what I did, and notice how my students' whiteboards will be at the bottom. What I did was I actually added text, and I asked my teachers to draw what student engagement looks like. Period. And that's what I asked my teachers to do on Saturday. And so again, it doesn't have to be about solving a math problem. Now, sometimes it will be because it is a great tool to see students thinking. However, we want to change it up because we don't want kids to always get bored of, oh, we're going to use Whiteboard Phi again to solve a math problem. Well, not really. Not all whiteboards were used for that purpose. You might have them, if you work with the littles, it might be just practicing their letters. You might give them the word and ask them what the missing letter is or what the missing sound is. You can also push your whiteboard. So if I push this, it says push to all students. You can push as a background, the all pages, current page, or like I said, as a background. And then you see how now it has that same verbiage. So my students are not only seeing mine, but if this were a math problem or a picture or a image of words that I want them to circle or follow along with me, I can push that whiteboard out to them and they can annotate right on top of it. Okay, so different ways to use this. Again, does not always have to be math. Okay, but again, different ways to engage our learners. Okay, and that is whiteboard.phi. I was about to ask if we have any questions, but if you do throughout the session, you can always email me. All right, so back to my presentation. All right, so we covered Whiteboard Phi. Again, you don't have to use it throughout the lesson. You can also use it maybe just at the beginning or at the end. All right, so breakout rooms. Now I'm hearing a lot of teachers that are afraid of using breakout rooms, okay? Now, in my live session, I tested this out with teachers. Again, yes, I know teachers are adults. However, even adults tend to get disengaged, right? And so I've been in breakout rooms too, and sometimes, we do get off topic. What I have found is that if we um, do breakout rooms with accountability, then students are more likely to be engaged and to do the work and to continue that practice that holds them accountable, as far as, you giving them that time to be away from you with their peers. Okay. So again, collaborating with each other. And so, what I did do here is some of my tips were to give students specific roles. Now, again, this might take practice, I understand. So, again, if you've never used specific roles, this would be a good time to let kids practice. Whether we're going to have somebody be the writer, someone's going to be the one presenting the information when we come back to the main session, things like that. Give the shared link only to select students. So the one that's actually going to be typing the information, they're the ones that might need the link, unless you want all students to have the link. And then one speaks and tells the other to write. That's one of the tips that I gave. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into this Jamboard that I added here. Okay. Hold on, give me a second. There we go. And let's go into our Jamboard. Okay, so now these are templates that have already been, obviously these were used in my session the other day. So you might see names are already there. Okay, so I do have a picture of the group work roles. Okay, so when I sent off my students into breakout rooms, they each have this template. So if they were in breakout room 1, then they had to use group 1. If they were in breakout room 2, then they have to find the second frame that says group 2. Okay. Breakout room 3 had group 3 to use. Breakout room 4. Oh, and look, they even changed the background color and all. So anyhow, let me go back to the first one. And so here I gave the students, their group. This is your sheet that you're going to type in your notes. I gave them the task. Share your ideas on how you think this would engage your students. Here they type in their notes, whoever is the person who's going to be writing. In this case, it was Casilia. And then I have the leader, Danny. And then Sarah was the one who was going to come back and present the information. So again, they all have some type of a role, okay, that holds them accountable. It says here, double click the sticky note that corresponds to your group role and write your name. That way, again, the teacher knows who had what part in that breakout room. Okay, now I do have these templates to share with you at the end of the session. So make sure that you stick with it. And when I give you these, this presentation as a material, you're going to have the link to where you can get these free templates. That way you can start using them and you don't have to recreate your own. You might have to adjust or edit just like I did. Most of the time I try to make it my own somehow. That makes sense to me. So, but at least you'll be able to have something to begin working with. Okay. So these are the breakout rooms with accountability. All right. So we've got Jamboard. So if you haven't been using Jamboard, again, that's a really neat tool. Kids love it. It is a Google app. And so really you just need to make sure that you, when you share the Jamboard, that you are making it shareable to anyone in Northside, and that if kids are going to edit, that you change it from viewer to editor. All right, moving along. We also have virtual backgrounds. So if you notice, me right now. I am using a virtual background to engage my students. Now, there's many ways that you can use these backgrounds, okay? I can use it as a still image to maybe review concepts. Or in my case, the reason I selected these canyons right behind me, excuse me, is because when I was teaching fourth grade, a lot of my students would not, most of the time because of their the populations that we had in our campus, they hardly ever left you know their area. You know, they lived in an apartment. Yes, they watched TV and YouTube and whatnot, but they never actually went places or visited different parks or, um, mind you, some of them did not even could not even identify the different landforms that were part of our teaks. And so you can actually take kids on a quick field trip. Now, I know this does not seem like a field trip, but you're showing them what a canyon looks like. Um, there's just many different ways that you can use these backgrounds. Somebody in my session mentioned where in the world is Carmen Sandiego. Now, maybe you change your background every day because maybe you want kids to be able to be excited about where you're going the next day. Okay, and you can leave that as your background. You might have your background as something that is going to be your upcoming unit. If it's social studies, it might be kind of like your science, social studies and science inventory to kind of get their attention as to what we are looking forward to in our learning. And so if you have never used um, the virtual background, let me go ahead and exit from here. What you do is on the bottom of your tab, hold on, let me see. Here it is. When I select a video, there is an option for you to actually change the virtual background. Okay, so hold on. Here we go. There's also an option for you to, I'm sorry, it says choose virtual background. There's also an option for video settings. So what I'm going to do is I did mention right there in that slide that you can also have a PowerPoint slideshow as your background. So I'm going to click on video settings right here. And what I'm going to do is I am going to go to advanced right here. Let me see. Share screen. Okay, give me a second. All right, so what I'm gonna do in order to show you the, what was it that I had mentioned, the PowerPoint presentation. So let's say that I have a PowerPoint presentation to share as my background. So get rid of my virtual background. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. And I am going to select, hold on, the advanced feature. Okay, so when I select advanced, it gives me the beta option to have the PowerPoint as a virtual background. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that and I'm going to share. And then it's going to bring up my files on my desktop or, whatever device I'm using. So I am going to select this right here because that is what I have right now. So you give it a few seconds to prepare and there you go. So this is a book that one of my librarians had used, and this is really how she presents her read alouds. So again, if you have some type of PowerPoint presentation, let's say that you have a virtual word wall or you're going over sight words, I don't know, I'm trying to think of what other PowerPoint presentations you might have. But anyhow, this is another option. And if you see me down here at the bottom, I can move myself around. Whoops, here we go. So I can move myself around so that my kids can see me in case I'm in the way of a specific picture. I can minimize that window, make myself a little bit smaller. And right here, if you notice, I can change this slide to the next one. Okay, and I'm still part of the read aloud. So you can do this live during any of your Zooms. Okay, so pretty neat trick. If you haven't used it, I highly recommend it. So let me go ahead and stop sharing this. Whoops. Whoops, whoops, whoops. There we go. All right. So let's go ahead and go back to our presentation. Let me go to my basic. All right, so again, if you have any questions or need any help with the backgrounds or even the PowerPoint presentation, let me know. I did have a teacher who did mention to me that her device, anytime she was trying to use the advanced settings, it kept telling her that her device was not or did not allow for virtual settings. If that happens, let your academic technology coach know, and or your TSS if they're actually there on campus, and we'll try and troubleshoot why. Sometimes it's either an update in Zoom that maybe might not have been updated in Zoom client. It might be because it's a student laptop. Anyhow, reach out to us so that we can try and help you troubleshoot why that's not working. All right. Earlier, you did see that I was using visual cues. So again, these are visual cues for your kiddos that may need it, or again, you can customize visual cues to make them whatever you want. Um, Sometimes because of the situation that we're in right now, I've seen teachers have their mask, and if they have a specific sticker on their mask, it's either that right now they're helping the Zoomies while the roomies are working on something, or vice versa. Okay, so kids are real good about picking up on visual cues. Okay, and I did add these resources so that you can print them out and use them as you need. If there's some other visual cues that you might need that I did not provide there, maybe I just didn't add the link, but feel free to email me if you are needing some extra ones, okay? All right. And then here is our closure, okay? So how do we end our lessons with a bang? Again, some of these things that you're going to see, you might say, ooh, I think I might use this tool at the beginning instead of at the end. However you choose to use it is completely fine. You might even mix it up because sometimes when you use a tool that the kids really like, they keep asking you for it, right? So sometimes you might want to do it at the beginning of your lesson so that you engage your kids there. And then you might want to end with it or a different type of tool so that they stick throughout the lesson, okay? Because we want them there those whole 15 to 20 minutes. All right. So Blookit, if you have not used Blookit, this is like learning reimagined. It's almost like Kahoot on steroids, okay? And so Blookit is a tool that we use to just motivate students to perform well. Okay. There's question sets that are easily built or can be chosen from the Discover library. There's also a variety of game modes for continuous engagement. Okay. And so I am going to show you what Blookit looks like. All right. So and actually, I did not have Blookit ready. I apologize. So here we go. So Blookit, In order to get there, we do blookit.com. And if you notice, there is a login right here. So I'm going to go ahead and log in. And I think I'm already in here. So um, if you are new to Blookit and you need to create an account, make sure you use your Google sign-in. That is an easy way to sign in to Blookit. Okay, so we have several icons here. The ones that you really need to pay attention to are obviously the play. We have a discover. We have a dashboard. And then here it says you do need a question set to host. Okay, so you as a host are giving your students that game that, to play with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on Discover Sets just so that you can take a look at what we have. So notice how we already have some games that some people created. So what I'm going to have you do, and just because I can't, it's different when it's asynchronous, and since this is at your own pace, I know that you're going to do it in the next few days. What you can do, or what I'm going to do, is I am going to select a game for you, and I want you to go to blookit.com. Okay, so while you go to blookit.com, I am going to click on this game. And here it is. So the reason I'm showing you these games that are already built are because, and I'm pretty sure that you already know, sometimes you have to give kids time when something is new because they're going to want to play, right? And another thing is they need to understand what they're doing in order to be successful if you're giving them content, okay? And so today is really not content, okay? And so I actually played this game live with my teachers on Saturday. So I'm gonna go ahead and host this game. And if you notice, it's asking who's that Disney character. So I'm going to host the game. And the reason that I said that it has a variety of game modes is because if you do the same game over and over again, they pretty much get tired, right? So here I can do Gold Quest for you. It's still the same content, but it's a different game mode. Okay, so there's Gold Quest, there's Factory, there's Battle Royale, there's a racing one, and so on. So these are pretty neat to play with. So I'm going to select Gold Quest. And then here, it tells you right here that you build your riches by answering questions to earn gold. And then the neat thing, it becomes really competitive, is that you can actually steal gold from others. Okay, so I'm going to click on Host Game. And then here we go. You can select the time. I'm going to host it right now. The time, what I want to do is I want to change it. Okay, I don't want 7 minutes. I'm just going to give my kids 2 minutes to play. Okay, and again, this is a good closing activity. So I'm going to click host now. And then again, my students are going to, they're going to join this game, and I'm going to start seeing them pop up right here. So if you are at home, I'm sorry, type in blookit.com/play, and you can enter the numbers 411325. Okay, and then you can go ahead and play the game. So, give you a and it's really difficult because we are asynchronous, and so you might not be able to play, but that's okay. You can create this with your grade level, and you guys can test it out and play it. All right. So I am going to stop this. And let me go back to my presentation and let's see what's next. But again, the kids love it. We've used it in several classrooms. I've used it with teachers during Red Wagon meetings and whatnot. And becomes really competitive. So, WordWall.net. If you have not discovered WordWall.net, this is a different way to engage your kids. Again, I have this at the end, but you can easily turn this activity into something to teach content or to review or just to introduce. And again, keep your kids engaged. So WordWall.net, it also provides access to game data. There's also a variety of activities and game modes. Like we said, we don't want kids to get bored and be doing the same thing over and over again. So let's go ahead and take a look at wordwall.net. Let me exit here. And wordwall.net is just that, type in wordwall.net. When I get there, if you notice, I already have an activity here, and what I'm gonna do is, I really want you to see this. I want you to watch it and see what it does. So I selected an activity. Now, I didn't create this activity. I went ahead and I just found it in their community. So here, I'm noticing that my kids, my fourth graders, are having trouble with their multiples of 12s. And so I found a game that they can use in a specific game mode so that they can practice and review that concept. So I'm going to click start and it's going to give me the directions. Okay, so hit the moles that are multiples of 12. So hit me, and then that one said don't hit. So it's really just kind of reviewing so that you understand what the directions are. So now hit the moles that are multiples of 12. 6, 98, whoops, 98 is not, that was my bad. 144, 142, and 60. Nope. One less. So again, testing the kids. Now, what I like about this is, again, the different types. So this might get boring for them, but if you change up the mode, okay, so 60, 12, 62, and you notice how okay, this one is 2, 144, whoops. Okay, so again, you get the idea. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to leave this activity and I'm going to go home. So when you go to wordwall.net, as you see up here at the top, you get this, well, actually, I've already signed in, okay? And this sign in also has a Google sign in. So make sure that you sign up using Google. And right here, you can see example resources. You can create your first activity. So again, it shows you right here how easy it is. 1, 2, 3, you pick a template, enter your content, print out your activities. And then again, you can use examples from their community. So what I did was I said, and again, kids always need help with math facts, right? So I clicked on math facts, and this is where I got that multiplication 12s game from. So there's some that are already created for you that you can already start using. But again, and notice how there's multiples of 6, multiples of 3, and whatnot. But there's different types of activities. If I click on multiples of 8, let me go ahead and just show you this right here, is when I share it, I'm going to click share so you can get the link. But if I notice how you get a shareable link, but if I click set assignment, then here I can actually register or have students enter a name before they start. And then what this gives me is it's going to give me a link. Let me click start so you can see it. And when I get this link and I drop it into Schoology, then it's going to give me results for my students. When they play the game, it's going to tell me how many they're getting wrong, how many they're getting right, and so on. So that's a pretty cool advantage, is that you get some data there to use. Okay, so again, you can create activities. Let me go ahead and show you and look at all these different types that they can use. Okay. All right, so look at that. This maze chase, it's really neat because it's like a Pac-Man. So you, again, you can have words. I mean, you can have different types of um, takes that you might want to assess, or maybe just a way to keep your kids engaged. Maybe at the end of the content, maybe you want them to just have some type of, little game to just have them stay engaged throughout your lesson, right? Um, and then later include some content. All right, so going back to our presentation, let's see, we're almost close to the end here. All right, so that was wordwall.net. The next thing that I have for you is going to be the waterfall chat. Now, because I don't have anybody actually here live, I'm going to explain it, but if you need more demonstration or whatnot, please reach out to your tech coach so that we can kind of explain this. We tried this out in the live Zoom. It's just kind of hard when it's asynchronous. So um, if you're in the classroom, if you're a classroom teacher, then what you would do is, you're basically going to tell your kids, this is a waterfall chat. um, it's not, you're not going to see a waterfall in the actual chat, but we're going to mimic something that's going to make it look like everything in the chat, all the answers are just falling at the same time, like the waterfall in the picture. So what you do is you're going to wait for the prompt or question from the presenter. Okay, so the presenter would be the teacher, right? um, you're going to type your answer in the chat, and then when the teacher says go, then you click enter. Okay, so I do, excuse me, I do have my next slide that's prepared for the waterfall chat. So when I did the session on Saturday, I told teachers, what's your biggest takeaway from today? Since we're basically at the end. Okay, and I had them think a little bit. What's your biggest takeaway from today's session? And you can ask your kids this, at the end of your Zoom meeting, tell me one thing you learned. Okay. Tell me one thing you remember. Tell me your favorite part of, the learning today. And so you give them some think time, you let them wait. And then you tell them, open up the chat on the Zoom. Now remember, you're going to type in the chat, but you're not going to press enter until I say go. Okay. So the chat is opened up. You type in your answer. My biggest takeaway is, and it doesn't even have to be a complete sentence, and you can remind your kids that this is really like a quick check or an exit ticket, pretty much. Okay. So again, type it in the chat, but do not press go or do not press enter. Okay. So once everybody gives you a thumbs up, they typed it in the chat, then you say go. I'm sorry. You say go, they click enter, everybody at the same time, and you're going to see that chat and all the answers kind of go like a waterfall. So it's just going to drop a bunch of answers from everybody's. And what you can do from here is you can just read a few of them at a time. You can read one or two and then ask those kids, to elaborate a little bit more. But it's almost just a different way to kind of assess their learning and to keep them engaged up until the end of the time. So that is our waterfall chat. And what I do have here, hold on, give me a second, is a few other things, just resources for you. And I just realized that there's something that I did not use. So let me go ahead and exit here and go back to Where was I? I was on my whiteboard 5 right here. So let me go ahead and just go back here. And so one of the things that we can also do if you're not using already is when your students are, let me move this right here. When your students are answering for you or doing the waterfall chat and you want to celebrate them, you might want to celebrate with them using some confetti. So if you do not have the confetti for Chrome, I think there's another one called Confetti Bomb. Again, that's another way to celebrate students when they give you the correct answer. I used this today with a kinder class and they loved it. They had never seen it before. And so every time that I would take turns asking the roomies a question or the Zoomies, I would give them the confetti and they were totally looking forward to that. So that's just something else that I had not shared. Um, Let me go back right here. So I did give you a site for some free Zoom backgrounds. There's some backgrounds there like the Simpsons background, some, very popular ones. Again, it can be content or you can just make it fun for kids so that they see a different background every day. And they're kind of looking forward to your Zoom to see what background you're going to have that day. You have the breakout room roles. So there's different templates here of all sorts that you can use depending on what you like. The Zoom visual cues, these are a few. I have about 4 other different sites. I just didn't want to overwhelm this and add them, but if you need some more, email me and I can share some more with you. And then, whoops, again, the extensions. If you notice here, you see my little purple hand and my cursor. Um, I use the custom cursor extension to change it. Again, grabs the kids' attention. And then I do, again, that confetti for Chrome. So if those are some things that you like, these are your resources. Okay. And then this is basically it. And I will be sending you you will have this presentation. And then I will be sending you everything's going to be on the slide. So it's going to be the video, the session evaluation, your quiz so that you can get credit. Remember, you have to get an 80% or higher to receive the credit. And then you'll have this presentation as well. So thank you everyone for joining me. I hope that you found something useful that you can begin implementing. And I can't wait to hear about it. Tweet it out, tag me, email me if you have any other questions or something was not clear. But thank you so much for joining my session and have a great rest of your day.